Jim, we have another question here. This was sent via the Cult of Cornette Facebook group by Johnny Sousa. Hi, Jim. I've heard you speak about the many tag teams from the 1980s, but one team that I haven't heard much about is the team of the Batten brothers.
Oh,
Were they good workers? What kind of guys were they backstage? Also, were Dennis and Bobby fine with putting the brothers over for the Central States titles? Thanks for any insight you share.
yeah. Bart and Brad Batten were, I think they were identical twins. I had trouble telling them apart, but they were twin brothers from West Virginia. And they actually, when we opened Smoky Mountain Wrestling, we got TV in Beckley, West Virginia, which was right near where the Battens were from. And even though the Heavenly Bodies, Stan Lane and Tom Pritchard, were working with the Fantastics in Tennessee and Eastern Kentucky or whatever, we did a little program with the Battens in West Virginia because people knew who they were there. They were very good, solid workers, good baby faces. They were short. They were vertically challenged back at a time where that meant more than it does today.
How short?
Well, I mean, like
5'8"?
I remember 5'8", 5'9", something like that. They weren't, a big team, but at the same time, they were about the same size as the Fantastics. Fantastics were a little flashier, had a little bit more, widespread reputation. But Bart and Brad were good workers, and they were another couple of guys that were just victimized by the constriction of the business when all the territories went away. They were solid territory baby faces as a team or as individuals, but they weren't going to go up and light the two national companies on fire, and that's pretty much most of what there was. As far as putting them over, I've told that story when they sent us up there from Dallas to the Kansas City territory, and we worked a couple of shows with Marty Jannetty and Bulldog Bob Brown. And St. Louis and Kansas City after Muchnick had retired, and it was just so depressing up there, and nobody was making any money. And we spent more, even though they got us a plane ticket, by the time that we flew up there one day, rented a car, got a hotel room, worked a show, drove to the next town, worked that show, got another hotel, and turned the car in and flew home. It was 3 days of our lives, and we came out in a hole because we only got like $80 a night. And so when they called to book us back, we were already in Charlotte. And, I take it back. They didn't call to book us back. They had booked us back from the Dallas office. But in between the time they booked us and the time that the shows were coming up, we had given our notice in Dallas and gone to Charlotte. So Bob Brown calls me up and says, "Hey, you guys are still coming, right?" I said, "Bob," I got to be honest with you. Last time, 3 days of our lives, fly from Dallas up there. Now we're going to come from Charlotte. I think we got $100 a night or whatever. I said, we've got to have $200 a piece to come to this show in Kansas City. Let me get back to you. So he got with Bob Geigel, and I'm sure they, agonized over it. And then called me back and said, "Okay, you guys, you got it, $200 a piece." And we were just doing Kansas City, not St. Louis. And we get there, it's a tag team tournament. They had us working 4 times and putting the Battens over in the finals. We beat all their other teams. We're never coming back there. They were just so desperate to get their one team over international stars, as we were, that they had us beat their other babyface teams and their heel team in the same night and then put the Battens over. But we ended up getting $50 a match. So that was a rib. But no, we didn't mind putting them over because it was Kansas City and nobody was there. And it aired on their television, which nobody was watching, and we just wanted to go home. But the Battens were nice guys.
You used them in Smoky Mountain, didn't you?
Yeah, I just said that a minute ago because they were from West Virginia. You weren't listening to a word I said, were you?
I was. I got very into the Kansas City story.
Because we can. That's where the origination of the term "we Kansas City'd ourselves." Whenever you're going to do something that you don't really want to do to begin with, and you certainly don't want to have to do it again, don't do a fucking good job the first time. We went in and still had good matches, and they tried to bring us back. We Kansas City'd ourselves.